And we are
Good.
live.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in this crypto world. My name is Cody, and I will be your host for today's Community AMA. We want to welcome you to what we think is a very special one. We've got a lot of great alpha to drop and some good updates along the way. So, lots to cover. So, without further ado, we'll just kind of kick it over to the team. Hi, team. How are you? Great. Kevin,
Hey,
the
mate.
floor is
Yeah,
yours, my
I'm
friend.
okay. Yeah, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are. Welcome back to the L1X webinar. We got Vivek in here as well. Okay, great. I think in this one, we'll catch up on a few things that has been happening over the last 3 weeks. And I actually wanted to delay the last webinar, which was scheduled, for the last week, because we wanted to release the loan analyzer, and we did release it out. So let me share my screen and let's just get into it. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, yeah. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, great. First of all, I think, let's just get this partnership out of the way. So we have partnered up with MyCarbon. MyCarbon is an Australian regulated carbon credit platform, which is supposed to be listing on a tier one Australian exchange very soon. And the reason we actually, partnered up with these guys are multiple reasons, but let's get into it. First one is we made a strategic investment in MCL, and the investment is not in USD, it's in L1X coin, but it's the release pool version of the coin. So it's not the ERC20 free floating version of the coin. We are very much aware, of the repercussions if we did that. So it's the release pool version of the coin. The other one is because MCL is the only regulated carbon credit platform in Australia, we are going to be working with them to put those carbon credits on layer 1x. Now, along with that, very importantly, it is required for us to build a white paper and release it to the community in terms of how these carbon credits will be traded as well. But I think it's very exciting because not with the government directly, but probably the only regulated carbon credit platform in Australia would be building on layer 1x. So I'm pretty excited about this one as well. Any comments, Mike, Cody, anything on this?
I actually think had a little bit of review of MyCarbon, and I think where we're heading. If you look at the market, I think in Australia it's a $4 billion market, and globally, carbon trading is around 600 or 700 billion. Now, maybe that's not big in the sense of some of the other industries out there, but it's big enough. Personally, if I look at something like carbon trading, it's going to be huge. All these companies out there desperately need to offset their carbon outputs. Now, a lot of them it's because they haven't put in place enough systems to be able to, to be able to handle the carbon. So until they can afford to do it, carbon trading becomes the option. That's huge. Getting a deal with those guys gets us straight into the Australian carbon trading, and I think it also gets us into the market for the international as well coming up. So yeah, it's I think a very, very good partnership, and to see what we can do with things like the DEX and some of the other projects that we've got coming along.
Yeah, and to kind of echo that sentiment, talking to a few people on Spaces, I did drop that we had this partnership. They were both kind of in the trading realm of the roundtable discussion I was in, and it went over really, really well with some of the traders that were in that particular panel. Just because, like Mike said, there isn't a whole lot of this going on the blockchain side of things. If it is, it's very siloed and not very global like we're planning on taking it.
Yeah. And just another alpha. A few minutes ago, before I could come on the AMA, we were in discussion with a private blockchain to integrate layer 1x to be the only connector that they could use while connecting to public chains. So we just signed an agreement with them and laid out the development timeline as well. So excited on that front as well, because we don't want to enter the private chain space ourselves, but all the private chains that want to connect to the public chain, I think Xtalk is the best contender out of the other ones. And this specific partnership with this private chain will release the information very soon. Starts to open doors where the same connector module could be used with multiple different types of private chains as well. Okay, all right. Moving on. So we did list AuditSmart on the 23rd of this month, and I believe their website is already live, but the product where you'll be able to go and audit a particular smart contract and NFT that contract, making sure that everyone understands what the risks associated with the contracts are, and also basic sanity checks, like the contract is exactly doing what it's supposed to do. That product is supposed to be out today, but I think they've delayed it by tomorrow. So once that product is out, we'll write a whole thread on X as well, and you can go and try out that product that's built on L1X as well. So good team, successful listing. The other token that we listed was StarPoints. This was the one where we started the liquidity pool with a little larger number, and now you'll see that all the projects coming in, and also the projects that were listed previously, we will start adding the liquidity into those projects based on the loan model. So the loan model has been built, and we are testing it with these specific projects right now. And later down the line, we will see how we are going to automate it as well. So a couple of weeks ago, we released the Quantum DeX Tokenomics draft version 1.0. And the basic objective over here was to get an understanding from the community's feedback as to what they think about the new tokenomics model that we've got going for Quantum DeX. And I think we have taken a different approach over here, where we are not going to integrate the release pool in Quantum tokens, or the QST tokens as we call it. But inherently, it will have the features of the release pool, and the learnings that we've had over the last few months in tokenomics. We have taken all that from the release pool and L1X tokenomics and applied to it. So very fundamentally, there are three different tokens that we are, this is a proposal right now. This is not confirmed. This is a proposal, and it's still open to community's discussion. So the very first token is the QET token. It's going to be a non-tradable, effort-based token earned only through partnership. So you won't be able to buy QET anywhere. You won't be able to transfer QET to anyone else. But these tokens will be earned as and when you go and do certain actions on the Quantum DEX. It could be the L1X swap. It could be, adding or removing liquidity. It could be swapping between the tokens. It could be holding, LP for a certain time. And based on, a metric, you will be rewarded QET. Now, what can you do with it? You can go and stake the QET, and based on a certain emission schedule, you will be rewarded with QST coins. So this is one way of controlling the marketing effort and the marketing allocation in QST rather than giving it out directly. Basically, your marketing, or airdrop is earned through this specific model. And as I mentioned, it cannot be transferred or traded. QST, which is the quantum superposition token, is a tradable, which is going to be a tradable token. This is the token that you will be buying and selling or trading. And it's going to be the primary currency of the Quantum DEX ecosystem. So right now, you are using L1X as the gas fee, but you will have the option to use the QST token as the gas fee as well. Now, what can you do with it? Of course, you can trade. I mean, you can buy and sell. But apart from that, you can also use it to lock that specific token into a pool and get GQST. And we'll see what GQST is. But the idea over here was, rather than taking all the responsibility of the protocol and dumping it on one specific token, we wanted to divide it into multiple different tokens. And we've done research across multiple different protocols out there and dexes as well to make sure that we are not too off from reality. The other one is the GQST token. This is the star token. If you want to hold any token in Quantum DeX apart from L1X, and of course the projects that list, um, is the GQST token, which is the governance version of the token. And the protocol fees that Quantum DeX earns will be coming out of these tokens, right? So you can go in and perform certain actions. You get the QST tokens, and you can stake the QST tokens, get GQST, and based on how much GQST you hold, you will be earning fees. But not only that, also the bribes. And we'll see what the bribes over here would be. So if you will be holding a GQST token in the future, you won't need to participate in buying project tokens that list up to an extent, right? You'll be getting an ownership over it. We'll see what the bribe mechanism is. But more than that, one important thing that we learned from Layer 1x is decentralizing decision-making process, to certain tiering community members, so that it is an inclusive process of how you take the Quantum DeX and build it in the future. So while we are in the process of creating the DAO for Layer 1x and making sure that we create a council of certain community members that can come on board and participate in decision making with us, we want to start that with Quantum DeX, right? So this will also act as the governance voting right. So who owns majority of the GQST will be getting an opportunity to come on the council, Quantum DeX Council, and direct certain decisions or participate in it.
Perfect. Hey, Kevin, do you mind
Yeah.
going back real quick? Bribes is something that's not really thrown out too much for the common crypto enthusiast. Do you mind just kind of explaining what the bribes are?
Yeah. Okay. Let's just look at this specific diagram here. And we'll understand what bribe is from this as well, which is when you perform a certain task, right? It could be swap, it could be adding liquidity, it could be removing liquidity. You're going to be earning QET tokens. And then you stake your QET, you get your QST. You stake your QST, you get GQST. Now, when a project is listing on Quantum DeX, they will have the opportunity to provide bribes in a way where whatever points you earn over here by performing the task, which correlate to the QET token. So if you earn 1 point while performing a task, which is equal to 1 QET token, that specific project pool can bribe the GQST holders to add multipliers. Meaning, if there are 10 different pools and 2 pools opt in that I'm going to bribe the GQST holders to go and vote for my specific pool, I will be able to give twice the amount of multiplication points to anyone performing tasks related to my specific pool. Now, what does that do? It allows new projects that are coming in to grab certain attention as long as they provide the bribes to the GQST holders. And the bribes could be in the form of project token itself. So if, let's say, a new project is launching on Quantum DeX and they have allocated 1% for bribes, 1% of the total supply or the max supply of that particular project token will be given to the GQST holders, where the GQST holders have to go and vote for that pool. And anyone performing any actions to that pool get more QET tokens. So rather than this is basically a model where Aerodrome and multiple other dexes have brought in, but they don't focus on the performance. They focus on the liquidity that you added. So in Aerodrome, you have to go in and add liquidity to a pool, as the incentive for bribing, right? But over here, because the loan model already takes care of that, we can focus on pure utility of the dex. Does that make sense? Yeah. Great. So each and everything has been thought of making sure that the transaction count increase, in a stable way, and the GQST holders get the opportunity to be bribed with the project token, so that they don't have to go and buy in, if they are happy with the number of project tokens that they get. I've got some good news for L1X holders actually. And I think they're going to love this, which is this is the token allocation schedule. The QET rewards that the users will get if you stake your QET and you get your QST, right? That has 42.5% of the supply. And that has a vesting period of 1,220 months. So every month or every week, basically, when the emissions of QST are going to be out, is going to be based on how many QAT were generated, right? So that they can cash in to QST. And if they want to sell, they sell. If they want to stake and get QST, they do that. For investments, there will be 20%, team 20%, marketing and airdrop. So I read through the comments in Discord. Now, the reason we had previously kept it 2.5% is because the QET is a form of marketing, right? Is a form of performance-based marketing as well, but it does make sense optically to increase the number of tokens that marketing and airdrop would have. So we have bumped that number up, and the treasury will be having 2.5%. But for the L1X coin holders, we've allocated 5% of QST tokens that correlates to how many L1X tokens you have, but with a catch. This tokens is only for people in the release pool. So if you go and stake your coins in the release pool, and we will, for example, there are 10 million coins staked. Let's take an example. We will assign a weightage of 100 to that. And depending on what your weightage is in that release pool, you will be allocated 5 million coins of QST. And we are going to take a snapshot. So even if you keep selling your L1X through the release pool, you are still going to be the holder of that. So all the participants of release pool that have ever deposited in there, 5% of QST is going to be given to them. The cliff is 6 months. Vesting period is 18 months. We are looking at reducing the cliff to 4 months and vesting to 15 months, right? Depending on certain numbers. But this is for the release pool operators, right? And I think this was the first thing that I put in when I was trying to build the tokenomics around it, that every other number can be adjusted. This has to be 5%, right? So L1X coin holders in the release pool, this one is for you. So you don't have to buy in to the USD tokens. Okay. Let's move on. All right. I think the start of the day, and the team has been working really very hard on this one. And there's a lot of reasons why we believe this is very important for us to scale the number of projects coming in. So we have released the AI Analyser, and currently it's operating with Uniswap V3 ETH pools. Very soon it will be available also with Quantum DeX, PancakeSwap, and Radium. So currently you can go in there, and if you hold $10 worth of L1X, you get the right to go and analyze 3 pools a specific day, right? And we've done that because it's expensive to run these kind of infrastructure. But we are looking at bringing that model on a local service so that we can make it accessible to more people. But you will need L1X in your wallet. It's not going to be spent, but you just need to hold that many coins, to access this. And if your token isn't listed, you're a project, your token isn't listed, or if it's listed on Pancake, which we are not actually analyzing right now, you can apply through a form straight away. So the way we have built it is it's either done through AI or it's done through a meeting and we come to a decision, but the infrastructure at the back that's managing the loan is the same even if you come through AI or you come manually if we decide. And manual numbers, of course, maybe a little bit more right now, but we are working to make sure that those numbers reduce over a period of time so that a scale comes in to the loan model. So it does go in and analyze quite a few things. So your liquidity is also analyzed. Your volatility is analyzed. So the higher your number, the better it is. But for liquidity, but if your volatility score is high, I think it's not that good. But anyways, let's look at the trading volume. The trading volume score has to be more, and the social sentiment also has to be more. Now we have a rating system in the back, and just to make sure that we have added a disclaimer as well. that these results are compared to the top 5 pools on Uniswap. Now, it's very hard to do an absolute comparison rather than a relative one. But even in relative one, based on what token you are, based on what pools we should compare you with, that will be in the version 2. Preliminary, we just want to bring this out there and just show, to our community members, to the users, that um, our strategy to scale the number of listings and liquidity, through a secure manner, and doing it in an automated way is, this is the first version of that. We will be improvising, and creating more forms of, contextual understanding on the results as well. So right now, it could be a little bit number heavy, but we are trying to make it more simple as we go. And your feedback would be, very helpful as well. So once a pool is analyzed and, these guys go in and there is a maximum loan available to you, which is, up to $2 million. You can use the trigger and say, okay, I don't want 2 million, I want $50,000. The collateral will be arranged in that way, and based on the risk portfolio, the collateral ratio is also decided, but also based on that, the loan term is decided. So once you go through this, you can click on the apply for loan button, and right now we have to whitelist for you to go ahead and create the pool, which will be automated in time. But from the time you get these numbers, you go into the contract. The contract is, it's a heavy 5-6 different types of contract working together to make sure that you can, deposit your collateral, which is your project token, right? You can mint those project tokens. And this whole process, once you decide that I'm okay with these conditions and you listing on the pool, is going to be less than 5 minutes. So in those 5 minutes, not only are you listing on Quantum DeX pool, but you are also going to make your token cross-chain compatible through L1X swap. So this is the first step towards the loan analyzer. Very soon, once we understand that if your risk score is above a certain number, you don't need our authority. You can just go in and start accepting that. May happen as well. But there are a few guardrails before that. Apart from that, right now we understand that the Quantum DEX is a gated, DEX where we are gating projects, making sure that they are good enough to list with us. But we want to move from gated to automated AI, as I just discussed, to community voting. And when I talk about the community voting, I think I'm a pretty big fan of how Hyperliquid has, done this through their Dutch auction method, where a number of projects list in a queue, and the community with certain coins go and vote for it, and they can also give a listing fee over there to win that specific slot for that specific week. But the listing fee is then again distributed to the community, and this is what we want to bring on, so that one big responsibility of ours is put onto the community, that you go and vote for the right project that you want to see on the DEX from that list. But before that happens, we need to make sure that we have that many projects in the queue as well. So that's why we have gated it now. We are testing the systems. And in the roadmap, you'll see when you'll get the first version of this available. But this is going to be limited to 2 types of users. One is the guys who hold L1X coins, and number 2, GQST holders. So both of them will be able to go in and vote. And based on your voting, you will also be rewarded if the project decides to pay you a listing fee from it. So currently we have 4 projects that we listed. Our number was 4 last time when we came on the AMA. We wanted to do 4. So we have successfully onboarded them. And progressively, next month also, we are looking at doing 4 different projects. And we want to do 44 to 45 projects by the end of the year. And when I say 44 to 45, I mean, certain gated, certain ungated. But with the loan model, it makes it easier for us to also manage the TVL. Our goal, it's a pretty ambitious goal, but our goal is to have $25 million in TVL on Quantum DEX by the end of this year. Just to give you a context, if you have $100 million in TVL, you would come under, under top 15 DEXs in the world, right? Just on the basis of TVL. But number 25 puts you in, now $25 million puts you in the top 50. We don't want to be too ambitious and call out the $100 million over there. Based on our numbers, we feel that we can achieve $25 million TBL by the end of the year. There are some heavy hitting projects that we are speaking to that are doing their TGE right now. Some of them are pretty big, and they, of course, they are a little hesitant in the beginning, but it's our job to convince them. So if these kind of projects, heavy hitters, come in, who would be considered as the top 50 traded coins, in blockchain, if they come on, I think those kind of numbers are also achievable. So we're working on that, one firm step at a time. With the roadmap. So we are going to, release this out to the people as well. Let me just, okay. So we did release the WL1X outbound swap. AuditSmart AI was also launched. Starpoint token was also launched. We fixed the bugs as well on Quantum DeX. As and when bugs keep coming up, we are squashing them. And we also released the AI loan analyzer for Uniswap. Of course, now we are working with TaskOn. We expect the integration to complete by 15th of July. There had been a delay in the release pool version 1 deployment. We did prepare the algorithm, but when we tested it, it did not behave the way we wanted to. So we are currently, making certain changes to it, and our date for launch is 5th of July. And what will happen over here is that certain times when you're trying to do a high trade into Quantum DeX, that bypasses Uniswap, because you don't want to offer such a high price impact to anyone coming into it, and that treasury is going to be used to go and buy back coins from Uniswap and put it back into the release pool as well. So there are certain changes in there that had to be made, and we've got to be very careful with these changes. So it's being tested right now. It's been updating and testing. And 5th of July is when we will release it out to the people. 15th of July is when the loan analyzer for PancakeSwap will go out, which is on the BSC network. 20th of July, what we are going to do is the first few projects, where we will activate them from the backend, they will be able to go into the loan analyzer. And of course, right now they will be able to analyze their token, but also apply for the whole loan process in less than 5 minutes from start to end. So if their token is already on Pancake or on Uniswap, or we manually agree to a certain number, from the time they mint their coin, they create the pool and the loan contracts are initialized, that specific process is going to take less than 5 minutes. And that 20th of July, we want to test it firsthand with certain projects. 22nd July, we are doing it for Quantum DeX. The loan analyzer is going to go out for the Quantum DeX. So you'll be able to analyze tokens even on Quantum DeX as well. 30th of July. Right now, in order to buy a project token, you got to swap into WL1X, and then from WL1X, you got to buy that token. But by the end of next month, we'll make it easier for you to swap back and forth from the project token to any other network of your choice. 10th of August is when we are expecting to open source Xtalk. So we are updating Xtalk, because we have a requirement from 2 different layer 1s to integrate them into our swap. And even they want to launch their token on Quantum DeX. And one of the condition, if you want to integrate into the L1X swap, is that you have to launch your token on Quantum DeX as well. So we have to update Xtalk with the integration of these 2 layer 1s as well. 10th of August is when we feel comfortable releasing it out to the people, open sourcing it. And 30th of August is when we are expecting the first version of community voting system for pool. So by that time, we expect the QST tokens to have a TGE, hopefully. And, once this specific thing is out, I think it gives us good runway of, 2 whole months to create a good pipeline of projects that you can actually go in and vote upon. And we don't rush into, a voting system where you have nothing to vote upon, right? That'll be funny. I think that was pretty much it from my side. But the team has been working very hard to make sure that these 4 projects listed successfully on Quantum DeX. And gazillion other changes that are coming on Quantum DeX, smaller ones like market cap, FDV, fees, your transaction volume. All these things are being updated up as well. And we have started up with a new approach where, when we have the design of a new thing going out, Lionel and our designer over here, they've been very initiative of bringing on certain community members and showing them the design and getting their feedback on it before we actually, start the integration of it or launch it. So thanks to all those community members who have participated in those, alpha, beta testing on the design and the product. It really helps. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Okay, I think I'm up next. Is that my screen? Real quick, the loan thing that Kevin's been talking about, I've been pumping that out quite a bit to a lot of the projects that I've been speaking with on Spaces. It's a freaking no-brainer. I mean, some of these projects that have already launched, once they really start looking into what it is, they just get so excited about it. So lots of good conversations that are coming from it, and I think that is definitely going to be a huge game changer. Especially with like the listing fee thing that Kevin talked about, going back to the community holders of the Quantum DEX. I mean, that's a huge one. Let's be honest, some of these sexes are complete ripoffs. They dump your coins, they charge astronomical amounts of money, and they are total gatekeepers into what projects that they want to actually push and go. There's no reason why it should be such an expensive, complicated process. So I think what's cooking over there on the DEX is definitely going to be something that's going to rock for sure. So thanks for that update, Kevin. In terms of social, things are still kind of moving along good. We're starting to get a little bit more consistency. Like I said, we want to kind of even out these peaks and valleys a little bit more. We have had engagements, reposts, post profile visits, shares, reposts, things like that fall down. The main reason is due to I'm starting to see a lot of bots starting to creep back in. So if you are using bots, please, for the love, stop. As you can tell right there on the red lines in that middle of that chart on the last 3 bars were pretty huge. That's a huge fall off, which is a large indicator that a lot of those accounts were removed by X. And as a result of that, it looks like we dropped huge in numbers. So that right there tells me that we've had a lot of bots account removed that were tied to our followers. So again, that's the reason why, because if you look at the numbers as well, for the amount of followers that we have, and we're only getting like 3.5 to 5K reach in daily impressions. And that's pretty low compared to the amount of active users we have. So what that also is telling me that the bots that have only like 40 to 50 followers is a very low thing. So again, the bots are definitely picking up. So we need to kind of cut that out as well. Go on to the next slide, please. This one is, in terms of replies, I think we're doing fairly well on that. Again, a lot of the replies is a couple of things that I wanted to point out is talk at versus talk to. I think this goes without saying what this actually means, but if you go in and you just reply and say something like, "Awesome, I will be there," right? That is kind of a closed-end statement that doesn't really warrant a conversation. If you're really wanting to try to help us get out more reach and kind of cultivate the conversation, ask questions. Feel free to jump in there and answer those questions as well. If you happen to know somebody asking a question about the DEX or the release pool or this or that, feel free to jump in and answer those type of questions, because that's what keeps the conversation going. But when you go in and actually only put in statements, no one's going to respond to it. You might get a couple of heart emojis, but again, a lot of those I think were bots as a result of that. So if you want to go down, I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of a social experiment with me here. So if you've ever bookmarked and aren't familiar with what a bookmark is kind of a private tool that you can do to basically save a post or content of a post for a later time, right? But the X algorithm considers bookmarks as a form of engagement. Also, it prioritizes bookmarks over likes, signaling higher quality content. So what I'm asking you guys to do, because you guys are really good at stepping up when given a challenge, is I'd like you to go and start bookmarking a lot of the content that we're putting out from not necessarily like the partnership announcements, but that would be great. I'm talking more about like when the team releases information on like the AI loan analyzer type of thing that goes into depth, these threads, those kind of things. Be sure to bookmark. And if you're not sure how to bookmark, I put in a little snapshot here. It's the little blue ribbon at the bottom on the right hand side, right where you would share it. It's one click. That's all you got to do, right? One simple click. And that will help us start getting our content a little bit higher quality. If you go back and look at, if you've ever bookmarked before, or look at other people's bookmarks, you actually see that over time this really does amplify the amount of engagement that you get over it. And so please, let's give this a try. I think last time, if you want to go back up one more, Kevin, I think we only had 69 bookmarks over a 4-week period. So that's our benchmark. Over the next 2 weeks until we meet again, I want to see if we can't double that. So it's a little bit of a stretch goal, but I definitely want to see if we can't double that. So we'll call it 140 for our next goal. I'm going to write that down so that I can remember that we made that our goal. But go down one more time. But like I said, if you want to go back, screenshot this, because I put in a chart down at the bottom that kind of talks about how the algorithm analyzes likes and retweets and comments and bookmarks. So kind of an interesting little rabbit hole to go down, but definitely worthwhile for us to start establishing higher quality content. Go down one more. The other thing that is kind of interesting that we've done over the last 12 months, we just on X Talks alone we have accomplished over 265 spaces. So to put that into context, we've hosted 134. And out of that 134, for me to produce an X Talk episode each and every week, it takes roughly about 3 hours to do. One for prep time and promotion and all that kind of stuff, as well as 1 hour for hosting, and then another hour for BD follow-up kind of conversations, right? So each week, each of those takes about 3 hours to do. That does not include the ones that we participated in, which is about 128 also spaces, but that's in hours. So we have spent, I think it was roughly what I calculated. I was sharing with Mike yesterday. It was like 534 hours that we've spent over the last year out voicing L1X to various communities and across to X, which has been huge, right? And we're only getting started, right? This does not include any of our broadcasts. Like this AMA series today does not include the broadcasts that we're doing. Unfortunately, X's algorithm, API access just completely is broken. So a lot of the information that we're getting here on this shows like we only did 10 episodes last month. And I can tell you that we're actually getting about, with the chart below, we're hitting about 3 a day. So there's a lot of inconsistency across the API data that a lot of these different platforms that I'm using to kind of help promote, automate, and track our spaces, there's a lot of discrepancies there. So if you're a builder and you want to build something freaking awesome, we could really use a space analytics that actually works, because I know that there are a lot of frustrated hosts across the space that would love to get their hands on this kind of stuff. So with that being said, wink, wink. Not financial advice, but definitely if you want to build something cool, I know you could probably be pretty successful at it. But from our efforts on the X co-host thing, I also wanted to show how many projects are in the talks with me and that are kind of in that limbo stage between working with me and being handed off to V. So I've got personally 3 L1s I'm working with. I've got about 6 games that I'm working with, 2 DeFi projects, 4 AI platforms, and about 2 meme utility token. And I've also got some other offline infrastructure ones. I've got about 3 of those as well. So a good solid pipeline. So to Kevin's point, we are trying to build these channels that are going to be a good consistent feed for these projects coming in. Mike and I talked to a group yesterday which has their own kind of network, and they really could potentially increase the amount of projects that we could have coming in as a separate funnel. But with these spaces, we definitely want to keep it going. And the best route for us to keep these spaces as a solid thing is, one, have you guys show up each and every week. Make sure that you guys are sharing, even if you can't make it to the live, share the recordings. That's the other thing that's going to help us keep expanding our digital footprint and our voice in the Twitter space is this. The other thing that we'll look at doing down the road is look at adding more shows depending on just various time frames as we start going more global to get more projects involved, potentially doing some of the roundtable, as well as some of the 10-minute pitches a little bit later in my evening, which might be early morning for you guys as well. But that way we can get a lot more projects in and moving forward. So I'm kind of excited about the momentum that we've got going. Go down to the next slide, please. And then also, again, just please mark it on your calendars. Every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. UTC is our roundtable discussion that we do each and every week. Definitely, we've got some big heavy hitters coming on. We are getting invited to a lot of different ones as well. I will be joining the Dash and the Litecoin AMA going on a little bit later today in about 4 hours. I'll be joining that one. So be on the lookout for the L1X handle jumping on that one. And then the 10-minute pitch show. If you are a project listening to this, if you know of projects, if you guys want to hear from certain projects, definitely shoot those over to us through the DMs. We will get them on the 10-minute pitch show. This has actually become a very, very popular format. The X co-host platform that we are using is actually going to be co-sponsoring these with L1X as well, to kind of expand that footprint onto their platform as well, which is a great sign, which again just keeps feeding that funnel of new projects coming into potentially L1X, but it definitely has been opening the doors. The other thing is there's been, I didn't put it on this slide, but I recently relaunched the Next Moon project. And so some of you guys have been asking why I did that. Just to kind of fill you in, it is a little bit of a strategic tactic for keeping these conversations going. There are unfortunately a lot of projects that feel that since I'm communicating through the L1X handle to them, that if they are an L1 or if they are a swap or a DEX, something like that, that they feel like we are competitors with them rather than actual potential partners. And so as a result of that, it's been really weird, but I relaunched the Next Moon project as a way to kind of have a neutral ground. Even though I'm the same person talking from just a different handle, I've been able to take those conversations and push them forward even more, which has been kind of interesting. But hey, I guess perception is everything. But it has been very, very valuable. And that's why I've got those L1s listed on the screen above. And so if you can, please definitely, when you see the Next Moon handle out there kind of conversing in various hosting spaces or even participating, definitely give it a like and a follow, just as much as you would the L1X, just because it is a secondary handle that we are using to get out to the masses of Web3. So thanks everybody. Again, much love from the Cryptonaut here. We couldn't do these spaces without you. I can't emphasize that enough. The OGs that show up each and every week. I see you guys down in the listener section, and even though I might not call you out due to time, just know that my heart goes out, and I see you, and I applaud you, and I appreciate you guys being there.
Okay, thanks for that, Cody. I think the next one is Ronak, right? Yeah.
Hey, hello to the amazing community of Layer 1X. I hope you all are doing well. And I'm very glad to see the messages regarding the airdrop in Discord chat. You guys seems to be very excited when it comes to airdrop, right? And it really makes us grateful by seeing your comments regarding the airdrop. And first of all, I'd like to thank all the participants of the season one for making this season one successful. Because without you, we wouldn't be able to make this season successful. Okay. And regarding the updates, okay, I'm going to cover all your updates, all your questions regarding these updates are going to answer all your questions. All your doubts will be cleared after the AMA. Okay. And I have seen there are some of the rumors regarding that we might be delaying our season one. So here is the great news for all the community that we are not going to delay the airdrop. As we promised, we are going to end our season one by 30th June of 2025, which is the end of the quarter two. So a snapshot will be done on the 30th June of 2025, which is so there. I guess there are a couple of days still left for the snapshot. So if you're not in the leaderboard, you still have the time to just smash that leaderboard and get your deservable rank, and just get rewarded from the season one. So regarding the other questions, like related to how the season one airdrop will be distributed. So season one airdrop rewards will be distributed according to your task on activity, task on leaderboard, your rank, your contributions, your support. Okay. And you will be able to see your eligibility and your number of tokens allocated to your assigned wallet but in the L1X app itself by the 25th July of 2025. The process will be very simple. On the 25th July of 2025, you will be able to connect your wallet on the L1X app, and you will be able to see the number of tokens that are assigned to your wallet address. So moving to the next, one of the great news especially for the long-term participants and also for the new users, we are introducing our season 2 airdrop. If you are the long-term participants, if you are here, stick to the project for the long term, if you are really here to contribute to the ecosystem, then season 2 is your another opportunity to grow your tokens, to grow your rewards, because we will be rewarding you for your contributions and support in the future with the help of season 2. So if you are the long-term participant, season 1 wasn't the end of your journey, because you will be able to get rewarded for all your support and contribution to the ecosystem with the help of season 2 itself. And also it's a great opportunity for the new users, because if you have missed the season 1, then season 2 is your opportunity to get early, okay, to get participate and be the early participant of season 2 and grab the most out of it, because the leaderboard will get reset on the season 2, and it will track new task on activities, which will give fair chances to the new users. And regarding the launching date of season 2, it will be somewhere around July 2025, exact date to be announced. Okay, and airdrop amount and its details will be announced together. Moving to the next update. This one is another great news. I guess it's a good news for the long term participants, and because yeah, we have, there is a slight change in our distribution model, as we are as we are going to uh, do a combined season distribution of our tokens at the end of season 2, which means season 1 and season 2 tokens will be distributed together at the end of season 2. Okay, so it's a great opportunity for the main motive behind this is that to differentiate our short-term participants and the long-term participants, and distribute the long-term participants combinedly a higher reward than those who have just came to the airdrop, completed few tasks and just got invisible from the project. There are multiple community which just got disappeared from the community after completing few of the tasks on the task count. So this season 2 is the way for us to differentiate between those guys who are here with the project for the short term, and the guys who are stick to the project in the long term, who are really stick to the ecosystem, or really stick to the project for the longer period of time, so that we can combinedly distribute a higher allocation to those long term participants rather than giving higher rewards to those short term guys. So it's a great news for the guys who are really stick to the project. And regarding that, why this matters, why we are doing that, as I said, it's mainly due to the it's mainly because we want to reward the long term users, and identify and reward the long term users bite higher than those guys who have been just joining the airdrop for few days and just got disappeared. Okay, and for those guys, I know there are multiple guys whose airdrop, layer 1x airdrop going to be their first airdrop. And just for their knowledge, just for their info, layer 1x, that's the same distribution model. Okay, the same combined distribution model is not only being followed by layer 1x, it also have been successfully led by multiple other well-known projects like Optimism, Starknet, Athena, and others. There are many more. Okay, you might be wondering why this project does that. So the main motive, as I said, the main motive behind this is to differentiate and reward the long-term participants, the real, genuine participants of their projects, higher than those short-term or the board guys. So this is what the updates are. And once again, thank you for all your participations. Thank you for continuously supporting the ecosystem and completing your task in the season 1 and making this season 1 successful. Without you, we won't be able to make this season 1 successful. So thank you. And this season 2 is another opportunity to grow your rewards. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Thanks for that, Ronak. I think it's Mike. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So interesting charts that we've got here from the likes of Bitcoin. So over the last 2-3 weeks, Bitcoin's posted there was a 6% decline. And interestingly, we've seen it recover back to about 106, 107K, where it's sitting at the moment. Obviously, it doesn't take too much to work out that the Middle East narrative has just weighed pretty heavily on the market. Another interesting one that came out was the US Senate passed the Genius Act, and that'll actually accelerate the integration of stablecoins across into the fiat system. That's going to be pretty interesting. Start seeing that flow in more there. And the drivers over the last couple of weeks has actually been around the inflation data and rate expectations. They're fueling the sentiment over in the US. Lower inflation has spurred speculation of further Fed rate cuts, and I think that was a major catalyst behind the recent rally to 110. And obviously, yeah, if we then, when you're looking at the chart, before I'll get you going to the second one in a second, Kevin, but before you do, what you notice is that chart that's on the screen at the moment was one that was from 2 weeks ago. And we were sitting there looking at that decline back to about 100. It actually dropped down to about 98. It's subsequently picked up to about 107-ish, so heading towards that number that we're looking at on where the arrow is on the blue. So we've done pretty well in predicting it. The yellows, where the negative sentiment comes in. But obviously, things have quieted down, I think, a little bit in the Middle East. Let's wait and see what happens. As I said, those tensions in the Middle East really played on Bitcoin, and that pulled it back below the 100K. The other one is that despite its digital gold label, Bitcoin is still struggling to act as a geopolitical safe haven, and it's still aligning more with the risk-based assets like the equities or shares. The technical picture. So when we look at the technical analysis side, that was pretty inconclusive. There's really nothing happening. It seems to be going sort of sideways at the moment. So there's no clear correction or continuation patterns emerging from that. And just moving on to the next one, Kevin, you'll actually see that we're really getting that sideways movement across Bitcoin at the moment, trading within a range. So it's sitting there between. There was a low there at 99, high there obviously around the 111 plus thousand. Now moving on to L1X, I think we've done pretty well. We have seen increased volume. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I need to have some water. And we've had a bit of a sideways trend form since about 13th of May. The price has been consistently moving up and down in that range as well. And it's really good to start seeing the volume and the growth of L1X. And active trading between around the $18 to $20 mark is especially noticeable. Now, the other thing to note as well, when you start looking on Quantum DeX, you start seeing the tokens that are listing on there. We've got STAR, AST, we've got the CAT and the WL1X. We're obviously seeing, GDAO, I should say, for the last one. We've seen some pretty good increases in prices of those as they launch. There were STAR sitting at 22.73% right now, and AST 42, and the CAT sitting at 24. So I think Kevin, the release pool is doing a really good job for those, and it keeps that consistency in there for the coins. It keeps their support going, and I think it's seems to be doing a very good job across that. So as we get more listed on there, we'll start picking out some of the star performers. No, that wasn't a pun, but down the track by the end of the year, Kevin, we'll start having 44, 45 on there, heading towards that 186 that we've got in the queue at the moment, which I think is really, really good. We've got a lot of interest. Cody mentioned earlier that we had a very good meeting with a group that we're probably going to move forward with. In fact, a couple, even talking with the Swan Star guys, they've got some extremely good ideas that they want to start working with us on, and some other ideas. So we'll be putting those forward for the council to make a decision on as well. So we're really looking forward to that. And back to you, Kevin or Cody, whoever's,
Yeah. So thanks. Anybody else have anything they want to add real quick?
Yeah, I think I missed out a couple of points. So two of them. The first one is that by the next webinar, we'll have a plan for the node operators, in terms of the cost of running a node and, the revenue that they can make immediately over the rewards that they're currently getting. So we had been tied up with all the features that are going out, and you can see those features. So by next webinar, we should have, the updated revenue structure for the node operators. And number two was the all transactions that happened on Quantum DeX. 75% of the transactions were done through wallets that had registered on L1X app before 4th of June. And 25% of them, were done through newer wallets that for the first time got registered on the app from 4th of June onwards. But what's interesting is also that the buying that happened was almost equally distributed between the 75 and 25 when you look at the value of it that went through. So that's an interesting metric over there. That was almost equal, right? And I'll also, with regards to the release pool, I do know that, we were supposed to launch it 2 weeks ago, the updated one, but we don't want to launch it wrong. We want to make sure that the updated one works exactly how it's supposed to sell the coins in the market as well. We did activate it for a little while, and you do see an aggressive sell that happened in 2 days of that timeline, right? But once it's activated completely on a daily basis, you will see that the numbers in the release pool will increase. But I won't get into the metrics of it as to even if it took you a few years, it's still the best investment you could make. But apart from that, we are working on completing that and launching it on the timeline that I provided. Yeah, I think all my pointers are done. Just a special thank you to all the community members. I do get messages from community members on, it could be on Telegram, it could be on X as well, where they, numerous messages on a day-to-day basis where they are completely, believers in what we do, and they have our, like, I mean, we have their support, they've got our back. I get those messages. I'm very glad. I try to respond to as many as I can, but I'm very glad that we have such an amazing community. And behind the scene guys who, for example, we've got Leo, who's working around the clock making sure that your product works. We've got Vivek, who's on calls more than I am nowadays, getting projects onboarded. And of course, Ronak, is making sure that the community remains engaged with Super Beams and Heather. So a good thanks to them, Cody and Mike, to you as well, and a more special thanks to myself, for pulling this off.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that's all from me.
It's awesome, and I want to echo the sentiment there. It's definitely a team effort for sure, and we do appreciate the love and support that we see in those comments, those private DMs across Discord, Twitter, Telegram. I mean, you name it. It's those kind of things that keep us fueled and ready to go. I can't tell you, when Wednesdays roll around and I'm just beat and I see somebody from the community come in and just say, hey, dude, that was such an amazing space, or this or that, and I really appreciate you, doing this. That definitely gives us fuel, and that's what we need. That's the best tip you can give us, is to hear from our community. So definitely keep it up. And then, I'm really excited where we're headed. I know we've said this over and over again, but in reality of things, it really just boils down to, it's kind of like riding a bike. And if you've ever ridden your bike and taken your hands off the handle and just kind of coasted down the road, that's about to the point where we're at, guys. Like, seriously, we've built up enough momentum and we're just going and we're going, and we've been pedaling really, really hard. I tried to explain this to my wife yesterday of all the activity that's been happening over this past month and how excited I am. And she just kind of looks at me and she's just like, oh my gosh, you're a nerd, type of thing. But hey, you know what? This nerd
and she's right.
Oh yeah, true. Thanks, Mike. But anyways, no, we are definitely headed down to that point where we've got some good things cooking. So thanks to all you guys. We appreciate it. I've actually got to run to another one, but I wanted to give you guys my heart and say thank you again from all of us at the L1X team. And until next time, we will catch you guys on the next episode of our community AMA. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Cody. Thanks, team.